Social music talk.
I think a lot of artists are just getting so little back that it doesn't quite feel balanced.
Well,
but I don't.
It's a two-tier system. You got the top tier of the big label artists, and they get all the promotion, millions of dollars in promotion behind them to put them in the spotlight, everywhere. Whereas then there's the indie world, which doesn't have millions of dollars in promotion behind it. So it's two different worlds going on, and it is unfair that Spotify favors that top tier world.
Yeah, and I guess I'm comparing it to before these platforms were available. How did you get your music out? You had to sell your CDs at shows, maybe try and get them in record stores, try and get a label to pick them up. I guess I haven't heard, about a lot of independent musicians making a lot of money that way either.
Mm-hmm.
So is this current situation really so bad? I find it hard to sort it out. I don't really know.
Well,
and then
go ahead.
The other aspect is that, like you mentioned, the technologies for recording are now so available to so many people that there's just so much more music being put up there.
Sure.
And
it's
so you're
needle in a haystack.
Larger, exactly.
But there's still great music out there, mostly in the indie world, I think. If anyone who's listening to radio these days, unless it's classic rock, it just seems like people turn the dial because no one's talking about that current music on the same level as the classic artists, that keep on living forever, whereas the top 40 stuff comes and goes and seems to be forgotten from just a few years ago already. So, but the cool thing about the indie world is it's not about hype. It's about the music itself. But
yeah, like the other day we opened for a band called French for Rabbits, who are from New Zealand. They do kind of dream pop, and they're great. And they have 110,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Wow.
And you know how many I have?
I don't know. What?
21.
Okay.
21,
well,
not 21,000.
Right.
21. And so I said to them, we chatted, and I said, "Wow, that's huge numbers. That must feel really great." And she said, "Yeah, but it doesn't translate into people,
right? Because
Spotify doesn't give us access to them. We can't tell them, we can't reach out to them.
Wow.
We can't tell them we can't directly tell them about our shows. Although you can post your shows on your Spotify profile and stuff, but." That was interesting to me.
Well, how did they get 110,000 followers?
That's a good question.
Because there's a way you can buy all that. I wondered if they bought it or if it was organic.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole world of getting onto playlists is I have to learn more about. It's really
I'm a student of that as well.
Good. We should talk.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know more than I do.
Well, I come from the radio world, so I know how records made it up the charts that way, and it's still kind of the same system, except now it throws in Spotify. Now it's about streams, and streams can be bought. Like even the.
So how do you just?
Go ahead.
How do you get on a? I think there's legitimate playlists, right? That are curated by people who. So I feel like there's a lot of work I need to do about trying to get onto those organic, legit playlists.
I agree with that, and there are. Spotify has a lot of curators that create playlists, and it's more like you just start Google searching, Spotify curator for whatever type of playlist you want to be on, and then that could bring up some links for you on that. But it's definitely still you got to get on like hundreds of playlists to have that kind of impact.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's something I'm going to have to work on.
But getting back to your music, which is the important thing. You play live, so obviously you're interacting with people that way, and you see crowds. How do you compare the recording world with the live performance world?
Well, I totally value live performance. I guess I value it more than recordings.
Okay.
I think it's, when you're seeing a performer play live, first of all, you're seeing what they can do, without studio tricks, without editing, and that's interesting. And I value that that skill, that virtuosity or whatever, that's fun to watch, right? Wow, this person's really good at singing. This person's really good at playing. I like that. And then, if you're moved by the music, and you're not in an arena, but let's say you're in a club, you can go and talk to the artist afterwards and say, "Hey, I really like that song," and have a conversation. I really value that. As compared to hearing, a great song on the radio, great song on the radio. You did a really great job. I don't know if you could actually do that live.
Right.
I don't know how good it would sound without all those, extra layers that you put on. And also, I don't know you.
Right. Live is more interactive.
So, yeah, live.
So cool.
Like the live music.
And you also play several instruments, or at least you play guitar, violin, any other instruments?
I actually played drums for quite a while. While I was living in Montreal, I was in several bands, and I was mainly on drums in those bands.
Okay, so cool. That gives you kind of the basis of music, rhythm, and then on top of that, you're really good with melody, and arranging. I think. Do you do the arranging?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you're really elaborate and you don't overdo it. Some people can overdo it. You kind of let the song tell its story.
Great. I'm glad that comes across.
Yeah, so, we have a few minutes left. Any things we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Well, I could tell you about some shows that are coming up. Would that be a good thing?
Sure, that's great. And by the way, this show will be archived on my site, playlistresearch.com. So, yeah, go ahead. Live shows coming up for Adrian West.
Yeah, so there's a show that happens once a year at this little cafe called the Bazaar Cafe in the Richmond district of San Francisco. It's a fundraiser for Bread and Roses, which I think, provides services to people who are recovering from addiction mainly. So there's an all-day festival at the Bazaar Cafe on Saturday, December 7th. It goes from 10 a.m. till about, I think, 11 p.m. And I'm going to be playing just a couple songs at that from noon to 1. But I just wanted to plug that because it's a really fun event.
Cool. And by the way,
we're playing at
today is November 30th, 2019. And so whoever hears this, just as a reference. Anyway, we have a couple minutes left. Go ahead. What else do you want to talk about?
I'll just mention two other shows. So December 12th at the Revolution Cafe in San Francisco. And let's go with January 12th at the Art House Gallery in Berkeley. Anyway, all my shows are always listed on my website, adrianwest.com. On January 12th, that show is a sort of a matinee on a Sunday, and trying to make it a family-friendly time where families can come and bring their kids. I got teenage daughters, and I want them to come and bring their friends. So it's my band playing, and then we have a woman named Heather Normandale, who's a wonderful folk singer-songwriter who plays banjo, guitar, and has some really cool backing.
Quick.
So she's going to play a set, too. That's on January 12th.
Cool. And who's in your band?
So I've got two different bassists that I work with, depending on who's available. Upright bassist Jody Durst and Kevin Goldberg. My drummer is Jay Jackson, and I've got an alto sax player. His name is Chris Haig. Those are my main team. Every now and then I need to sub someone in or out, but those are my main people. Cool.
And that gives you different sounds all the time, right? Like, do you shift instruments?
Well, I go back. I play. I guess 2/3 of the time I'm on guitar, and 1/3 of the time I'm on my violin. I do some looping as well. But yeah, those backing instruments, upright bass, drums, and sax. That's a pretty steady force, and it's you can do a lot with that. There's a lot of interplay between those instruments to keep it interesting. I also, while I'm thinking of it, I want to plug. You mentioned that there's a video of the song "Safe Streets,"
right.
An animated video, and my friend Ned Sykes put in a lot of work on that, and I just want to give him a plug and thank him for that.
That's excellent. Excellent video. Great animation, great song. Safe Streets by Adrian West. We're going to wrap it up actually with one more of your songs. Adrian West Band on Social Music Talk.
You're ready to talk. Everyone's cooling off. No fingers are shaking. The fever is breaking. This tumbling rock, how do we make it stop? I don't want you falling. Right to the bottom. What she said. Girl, I lost my head. Words just swallow. Can't hurt you tomorrow.
Social Music